Good evening and welcome to the sixth round of Simsport Racing's sixth GT4 season. And tonight we return to Donington Park for what is the penultimate round of the longest schedule in the championship history. Aaron Walker stands on the edge of becoming the first ever double champion with a victory at the previous round at Suzuka, setting himself up for a cruise to the checkered flag next week. One hand is on the trophy, and only two drivers can mathematically stop him from taking the crown, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and rookie Marcus Hagel. From the Far East to the Meridian, we race at Donington Park. The 4-kilometre Leicestershire circuit cost £12,000 to build back in the 1930s. There'll be plenty of drivers out on track tonight, hoping the price is right for them. I'm once again joined by Aaron Martin-Pilkington in the commentary box, who has exchanged his spot on the grid this season for a well-air-conned seat here in the Simsport Solutions comms box. Now, Aaron, you actually won this race a season ago, so surely the Donington Park circuit is a track you like.
Yeah, you know, as you asked me to rate these tracks every week, I'm going to rate this 10 out of 10 because I won here. I love it. It's a great track, and yeah, we're going to see some really good action here tonight, hopefully.
And it is a track that, despite being, you know, one of these national park circuits that we have in the UK, it's fairly confined in some areas. But unlike potentially like Alton Park, there are plenty of opportunities to overtake.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Tim. Really, I think the British tracks find it difficult to kind of compare to other European tracks, especially for action. But Donington offers what most European tracks offer as well, which is that overtaking opportunity, those chances to have good battles. And I think that's what we're going to see here tonight.
So the drivers are lined up on the grid, awaiting to begin the formation lap, 90 seconds before they get their wave around and they start tonight's proceedings. A quick run through the finishing order last time out at Suzuka. It was Aaron Walker who took another victory this season, but he was followed home by championship rival 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and Marcus Hagel once again getting on the podium in third place in his first season in the GT4s here at Simsport. Now it was 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in fourth with 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 fifth, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in sixth ahead of 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 seventh. Then in eighth place we had 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and ninth we had Aaron Martin-Pilkington. I'm not sure who that driver is, haven't seen his name before. And then we had 𝗤𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗡, Simon Wilkes and Cameron Fife, the latter two not finishing the race. But as we alluded to, the championship is nearing conclusion, and the championship standings, it is Aaron Walker who leads the way on a rather stellar 484 points. He's got an advantage of only 34 points, though, over 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Then Marcus Hagel is the highest placed driver yet to cross the boundary into the 400 points brackets. He's on 398 in third place, with 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 rounding out your top 10. And then in the teams championships, it's 𝗬𝗪𝗔𝗥 Racing who lead the way from Dunn Motorsports and Positive Perception. Those are the two Chevrolet Camaro cars. The difference between those two, well, it's less than 20 points, and with 2 races to go, that championship is more than up for grabs. And in third place, it's Simsport Racing, who are a further 34 points behind. But really, the man we've spoken a lot about this season, Aaron, has been Aaron Walker. And in a car that not a lot of people choose to drive in GT4 championships, he's certainly managed to make that thing work for him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's been a bit of a fuss about that car in the Simsport Discord. People say that it needs bopping, but it really doesn't, in the sense that it can do the lap times, but you know, it's so hard to drive. And it's so easy to make a mistake, and those mistakes can cost you seconds, and if not, podium finishes. So Aaron Walker's doing a great job in that car, and not many people could do the same job that he's doing right now. I have to say, though, what's been really refreshing this season so far, Tim, is the amount of Chevys that we're seeing on the track this season.
It's been nice to see some of the big, rather bulky Camaros showing their value on the grid, and particularly in the hands of the Dunn Motorsport and Positive Perception drivers 𝗤𝗓𝗓𝗏 and 𝗪𝗏𝗓𝗏𝗏, who line up tonight first and third respectively. Looking towards the back of the grid, Rhys Wiggin making a return to the championship. He'll be on the final row of the grid with Cam Fyfe, who started on the front row at Suzuka, but felt he didn't quite have the pace to continue lapping around, and unfortunately in not taking the checkered flag doesn't benefit from the reverse grid system here. Top 15 get reversed, and obviously with less cars taking to the grid at Suzuka, we only reverse the finishing positions. But the grid then, led round by 𝗤𝗟𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗡𝗏, they climbed the short little hill up towards 𝗏𝗏𝗧 and through the long right-hander. And then this really, Aaron, is one of the overtaking opportunities around this circuit. The long run down towards the chicane. Starkey straight though, and at the end of the chicane, it's quite quick, isn't it? You've got to get your move done because there's a potential for a lot of drama to take place at the left-right.
Yeah, it really is a drag race all the way to this very, very sharp S's section of the track here. And you've got to, you know, the easy part is the drag part, but then you've got to be able to match that braking. And I think it comes with practice as well. If you've not practiced that inside line through the S's to make an overtake, I wouldn't potentially go for it. That would be my advice, just because you could end up with accumulating track limit. It's very easy to do at Donington, so that's something that these drivers are going to be looking out for.
So we have 45 minutes ahead of us, a grid of 12 cars. Plenty of you watching on YouTube. Good evening to Andrew Fife and Mark 𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 who have decided to join us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the racing action that will take place. As we say, 45 minutes to settle this one. Reverse grid. The drivers you've got to be looking out for are, well, in fact, all 12 drivers on the grid, because we've seen new winners this season and we could see another one tonight. So they round the final corner at Goddard's and start lining up down the Wheatcroft straight. They will take the green flag in just a moment's time. 𝗤𝗟𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗏 will lead away, and he gets a good start. In fact, he's got a great start. He's going to lead quite competitively down in towards turn 1 at Redgate. 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 to the outside, who's challenged up the inside by Mark Raddenbury. He's hoping to help out his team by getting through. They're too wide further back. In fact, 3 or 4 rows back, they're still too wide. But up the inside, Raddenbury through to second. 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 makes contact with him and spins towards the inside. Manages to hold the 𝗤𝗟𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏 from spinning across the grass. He holds on to third place for now. It's a Dun Motorsport with positive perception 1-2 as they round the old hairpin. 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in third. Challenged by Kieran Vidago, who's climbed his way up to fourth on the grid, with 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the green and white BMW in fifth. As they're going side by side up the hill, and that's contact between Mitchell and Walker on the run-up towards McLean's, and then Walker drifting into the right-hander and forcing Mitchell slightly off the road. He's going to rejoin, but as he gets back onto the racing surface, he's behind Fife and he's behind Rhys Wiggin. And further down the order, it looks like Simon Wilkes has come a cropper, but a dramatic start there, Aaron. They were side by side, a long way back for multiple corners.
Yeah, I mean, what a start for the two teammates out in front, 𝗤𝗟𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Mark Raddenbury. I mean, these guys really can tag team their way. I mean, they might be a bit off the pace in comparison to Aaron Walker, but working together, they can literally, you know, team ride this to victory as 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 tries to go up the inside.
It looked like, in fact, there might have been an orchestrated move there between the 18 and 750 that didn't quite play out, and 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 caught a whiff of a pass, but they hold on at 1-2 at the moment as Cam Fife is looking to hold on to his 9th place position ahead of Regan Mitchell as they round the final corner at Goddard's. Fife is going to drift across the track just to close the door and claim his racing line, but Mitchell will be wanting to fight back immediately as in front. That's 𝗤𝗟𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 having to defend from 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and meanwhile this battling is allowing Mark Raddenbury to scamper away up the field as they head down through the Craner curves, this iconic sequence of corners here at Donington Park. There's 4 cars locked together. 𝗔𝗟𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, 𝗟𝗜𝗞𝗘, Vidago and Passpont separated by a matter of tenths. As Cameron Fife holds on. Oh, a huge slide for the number 13 BMW round the old hairpin. He's now coming under pressure from Mitchell, who has the run up through the left in towards McLean's. He's on the outside now. The Maserati will have to go the long way around, and Fife holds his position on the inside. They are still side by side as they rise up the hill into Coppice and over the crest. Fife trying to hold on to it, but no, Mitchell swoops around the outside. That's an important move, isn't it, Aaron? Because Regan, he does stand a chance for the championship, but he crucially needs to be beating Walker in this race tonight.
Well, that was a fantastic move there. He got the absolute drive round the outside of McLean's, and we said it time and time again, that Maserati, no traction control, so great measure on that throttle pedal. He's done a fantastic job, but the guy he needs to catch is the guy in front of him, and that's Aaron Walker.
Oh, as it looks like 𝗤𝗟𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 made a mistake into the Melbourne hairpin, so he's now run wide and looking to the outside. That is the 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 who's trying to cut back on the exit of Goddard's. Can't get the move done though, so 𝗔𝗟𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 holds on to second place for now. And look at the train forming behind him. 𝗬𝗪𝗏, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, Passpont, Pixley, Marcus Hagel and Aaron Walker waiting, eager to make passes and get up the positions. And it looked like they could. Well, we've got, what, a 6-car battle for the podium positions now as they head down through the Craner curves for the third time of asking. Kieran Vidago will certainly be eyeing up a podium finish. He hasn't had one in a little while. He came under fire last time for an incident with Simon Wilkes at Suzuka. As we see, Walker, he's certainly trying, isn't he, Aaron? He's not resting on his laurels in 8th place.
Well, this is where the KTM is going to be the strongest, right? Through these mechanical grips corners where he can really get that mid speed out of the car, and he's really pushing hard. But the problem is, he's got Hagel in front of him, and he's in the McLaren. So where we talked about 𝗏𝗏𝗏 being, being one of the places for major overtakes, it's not going to happen with the McLaren in front of you.
But you can see it there, can't you, Aaron? Look, just on the middle part of the straight, the McLaren just disappears up the road. In fact, Hagel's looking to the inside of Pixley, our race winner at Imola, but in the braking zone and through the S's, the left-right, Walker closes right up again as up the inside, 𝗬𝗪𝗏 looks for second place on 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗓 into the Melbourne hairpin. The Audi sending a move into the tightest corner on the track, and he's there, and he's got the move done for now as Aaron Walker makes a mirror pass on Marcus Hagel on the McLaren. But the McLaren fights back into Goddard's on the left-hand side. Presumed the high ground in a battle around this left-hander hairpin to round out the lap as attack becomes defence for 𝗬𝗪𝗏, because in trying to make the move on 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗓, he's now under fire from Kieran Vidago, who has to look to the outside on the run into Redgate. 𝗬𝗏𝗏 trying to make best the opportunity and the door opening for him on the inside of the first corner. And now they're going to be side by side on the run down the Craner curves. Kieran Vidago will be on the outside into Gold Hairpin as 𝗏𝗏𝗏's on the grass and he slips wide under steering off. That's going to allow 2 cars through. Hagel's going to swoop around the outside through the right-hander. They're banging door handle to door handle there, but he gets the move done. So Hagel now gains a position as Walker pushes 𝗏𝗏𝗏 out as well, just to say, I'm coming through, I'm in the fight for this championship, move aside. But 𝗏𝗏𝗏 holds on. He keeps that position, which is P7. Walker has to take up the racing line again, and I don't think there's going to be an opportunity for me to catch my breath as Walker then slides one up the inside of Coppice as 𝗏𝗏𝗏 ran wide, and in doing so the BMW slow onto Starkey straight. Regan Mitchell looking to the outside. They're going to be side by side into the S's, but no, 𝗏𝗏𝗏 gets the job done on the brakes, takes generous amounts of curbs as someone clips the tyre bundle there and sends that off into no man's land. And Aaron, yeah, like I said, no chance to catch my breath because there's plenty of battles going on. And look, the field has barely stretched out.
No, I mean, Regan Mitchell has just not had a break in this race so far. We've only been in it roughly 8 minutes, and he lost a bit at the start there. Cameron 5, he's been battling with him. Then when he got past him, he got a chance to stretch his leg, an opportunity to catch Aaron Walker, and then 𝗏𝗏𝗏, who I was just about to say in the 444 BMW looks really comfortable, and then he lost 3 places, so it was like a preemptive commentator's curse. I didn't have to say anything with him, and he still messed up. But yeah, he's in this battle, and Regan Mitchell will be praying that he makes another mistake.
The telepathic commentator's curse, and the first on record as they head down the hill through the Craner curves. Mitchell looking for a way past 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏, who hasn't competed in the entirety of this season, but is certainly making an impact in his first appearance at Suzuka in the BMW. He looks to be doing the same here at Donington Park. As Mitchell looks to the inside, I don't think it will be long before the driver of the number 69 will be getting on the lights button and flashing the headlights at that BMW, because a couple of positions ahead is his championship rival Aaron Walker, who looks to be scampering off into the distance slightly, but he's got plenty of cars to get through if he wants to take another podium finish. Here on screen, 𝗬𝗪𝗏𝗏, he's been the aggressor, and now he's being having to be the suppressor as Kieran Vidago once again is darting around in the rear mirror of the number 11. There's contact there behind. Constantina effect, Pixley into the back of Vidago, and then it just backed up. Hagel into the back of the Aston Martin. It looked like Walker potentially made contact with the McLaren as well. And that's just an awkward corner, isn't it, Aaron, where if someone checks up in front, it's like a herd of elephants piling into the back of each other.
Yeah, it's ram raid in Melbourne. That's what it is. I have to say, it can be very sketchy there. When you committed to that heavy braking, you really are looking in your rearview mirror just to make sure that no one dives. Oh, look at that. It's a great dive up the inside there from Simon Wilkes on camera and 5 there. He's going to take that position. A lot of ground to gain for Simon Wilkes. He got it loose again in the first couple of corners. He's not a great season in terms of, like, getting a clean start. He's always been in the thick of the mix, and I feel like he really can stretch his legs now to this pack that's really condensing just ahead of him.
Yeah, clean and consistent is the name of the game here in the GT4s, as Fife was looking for a way back through, couldn't get the job done. So Wilkes now claims that 10th place. He'll be looking to fight his way up the order, but first he's got to climb a 2.5 second gap to 𝗬𝗔𝗪𝗔𝗏 in the Maserati, who surely is going to be looking for a way past the 444 BMW of 𝗬𝗪𝗡𝗧 shortly. We're nearly 10 minutes into this one. It feels like we've had enough racing to last an entire season as they head down to the S's for the 6th time. We do really have a train forming, but the locomotive who seems to have steamed off into the distance is Mark Raddenbury. He's now got 4.5 seconds at the top of the order as there's moves there into the Melbourne hairpin. Looks like 𝗪𝗕𝗏𝗏's got past 𝗬𝗪𝗏, who's been pushed out wide, and he's over the grass into the wall. Manages to keep it out of the wall, actually. And no! I was going to say, looked like he'd kept control of it as he bounced across the grass. There's more carnage at Goddard's. 𝗧𝗍𝗄𝗧 off into the weeds, as well as Marcus Hagel. They both rejoin on the exit of the corner. That's going to allow Simon Wilkes through. So our Imola race winner and 4-time podium finisher have both been off into the grass. And wow, it's all changed now. So this train that was oh so close together has now been somewhat decimated in the space of 2 corners. It's now Raddenbury who leads the way at a slightly reduced margin. Now it's 4 seconds, I believe, at the top over teammate 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏, who holds on to 2nd place in all of that. Then Kieran Vidago in 3rd. Aaron Walker, the real beneficiary from that. He's up to 4th place as he makes his way past 𝗬𝗪𝗡𝗏𝗏 at the end of that lap and the start of lap 7. Then it's 𝗪𝗡𝗏𝗏 in 5th, Mitchell 6th, Hagel 7th, Wilkes, 𝗧𝗍𝗏𝗏 and Fife rounding out your top 10 with Rhys Wiggin in 11th place. But I suppose, well, as we see, Mitchell up the inside into Coppice. This move has been coming, and he slides the Maserati Gran Turismo across the nose of the BMW M4, holds on to the position. A NASCAR-style block pass from the driver of the number 69. He's going to defend his position into the S's and hold on to 5th place. I was going to say, Aaron, with the cars being so close together, you're going to get that effect of making a move and losing multiple positions if it doesn't come off, as we see 𝗪𝗡𝗏𝗏 making a move to the inside.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we get to see a replay of what happened there at Melbourne, but, you know, I'm going to take a stab in the dark. It looked like Kieran Vidago made a great dive bomb down the inside of Adam Misalovic. It looked clean, but it kind of like Rich Pixley was trying to do the same thing from ways back, and I just don't think it stuck. And he used all the track, pushed Adam Misalovic out wide, and once you're on the grass in ACC, it really is, you're really knocking on death's door when that starts to happen. So I kind of feel like that was the end game for Adam Misalovic, but I would love to see what happened in a replay.
Unfortunately, it looks like the driver of the 111 Audi has retired to pit lane and indeed left the race as far as my timing screen is concerned, as Walker is getting the hurry on now. He wants to get past Kieran Vidago. This is a podium place up for grabs. He's got 2 Chevys in his way, and as they climb up the hill towards McLean's, Walker looking to what will be the outside line into the right-hander, but not the optimum place to make a pass there, and he opts to just file back in line behind the number 4 Chevrolet Camaro as they climb the hill again into Coppice. Turn 8 on this Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. And you can just see in the distance the 750 of Mark Raddenbury, who needs to be time trialling, needs to be setting the best laps he can to keep as maximum margin should Vidago and Walker get past his teammate, his rear gunner in the form of 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏. And on the run into the S's there, we saw Aaron Walker flashing the lights. He wants to get through. As we cut to a replay, this is this instant at Melbourne. So let's see what happened. Vidago to the inside of Misalovic. Pixley tries to go through a door that was pushed open slightly by the Camaro, but was closed rather firmly. And then really, it's just 2 into 1 on the exit. Wasn't going to go, Aaron.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, really. I kind of still really feel for Adam Misalovic there. Had nowhere to go. He's taking the race in line. Doesn't expect someone else to be on his inside apart from Kieran Vidago. Look at this, though. A great switchback from Kieran Vidago, trying to get the run. I kind of feel like there's team orders here between number 1 and number 2 in the Chevys. I think 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 has become the meat shield as it was, so that Randenbury can get away and take the win. But look at this side-by-side action, and this is exactly what 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗏 wants to see, is these two battling away and make mistakes.
But he won't want to see the KTM of Aaron Walker now in his rear mirror, because as they fly down into the old hairpin, Walker noticeably faster through the apex, and as they climb the hill up towards McLean's, Walker diving, well, he's taking a rather sizable look to the inside in towards the right-hander, and 𝗔𝗓𝗓𝗏 succumbs to the pressure, it seems, running wide and allowing Walker to have another look to the inside up into Coppice, and 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏's also having a look. They were nearly 3 wide into the right-hander. 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗏 gets a slide on the exit though, and that's going to hamper his momentum down Starkey Straight and towards the S's. Walker cuts back over the bump in the road there, but unable to get the line on the inside. You get the feeling that Walker's going to be making this move soon. He's got now nearly 6 seconds to close down to Mark Randenbury.
That was a waste opportunity there for Mr. 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the number 4 Chevy. You could just see there how close Aaron Walker in the KTM was the back of 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗏, and it just didn't size it up properly. Kieran 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏, he could have had an absolute blinding run out of the S's, and it didn't work out for him.
So here's a replay here of Simon Wilkes. He's a little bit further down the order, just running wide, and oh dear, 4 wheels on the grass, and that sends him spinning off into the well-mown lawn here at Donington Park. Motorsport Vision doing an excellent job of keeping the grass in tip-top shape, but Simon Wilkes will not be enjoying his gardening activities this evening. He's down in 11th place now, 3.3 seconds off the back of Rhys Wiggin. But let's see if he can push on and get himself back into a competitive position, as side by side down the Craner curves, that looks like a spectacular move from Fife to get the job done on Rich Pixley as they head into the old hairpin. The Aston Martin looks to be fighting back. This helicopter cam showing us the view as they run up the hill through under where Starkey's Bridge used to be, up the hill in towards McLean's. Fife lives to fight another day in 8th place. That'd be a really strong finish for Cam, who's been back in the BMW and looks more comfortable at the wheel of it, as it looks like now Walker has made the move for second, but on the run down towards the S's, that Camaro of 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗏𝗏 nearly fought back with its straight line speed advantage as they go through the left-right. Walker already extending the gap. That just shows the pace the KTM has in the twisty stuff, and 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏's got to pounce now to get past 𝗔𝗓𝗓𝗏, and he sends it up the inside, but runs on into the Melbourne hairpin, and he could lose out to Regan Mitchell as well. Lucky to make the high line, or almost NASCAR style high line work there around the long right-hander. 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏 lives to fight another day in 4th place, but he'll really be needing to get past 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗏𝗏 now, because Regan Mitchell will be looking to make that move.
Yeah, he needed to make that stick. He's got a long battle ahead of him. These guys have spent so many laps trying to get past 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗏𝗏, and Aaron Walker, great bit of defense today. Knew he had to have track position going into the S's. He maintained it, and look at that distance already. It's 1.4 seconds to the KTM driver, and he is going to be hunting down Mark Randenbury in that Chevy in 1st place.
So keep an eye on that gap, 6.1 seconds at the previous. Oh, as we see 2 cars into the grass, that was Gilles Fidalgo. They somehow managed to keep it pointing the right direction, as in the middle of your screen, Rich Pixley does exactly the same. Fidalgo has got through now, Gilles making the mistake, so the door opened rather nicely there for Fidalgo. Mitchell through as well, St. Passpont following through, so this trio now are battling out for the 2nd and 3rd steps on the podium. The final step on the podium, actually. It was, we saw in the distance, Mark Randenbury trying to hold on to his lead, as Mitchell has a sizable look again up the inside of Kieran Fidalgo into the S's. The number 69 Maserati has certainly been on impressive form for the entirety of this season, and he won't say no to an opportunity, and he won't say no to a podium finish as they round the Melbourne hairpin and they climb the fairly reasonable climb just up and over the crest towards Goddard's. Weaving to the left-hand side, Mitchell did look like he wanted to just irk Fidalgo there, just distract him maybe, force him into an error into a difficult final corner that rounds out the 4-kilometre lap here at Donington Park. As in the background, it looked like Rich Pixley had got the overlap on Cam 5 down the start of this straight. And looking at the timing screens, Aaron Walker is already flying his previous lap an entire second faster than Mark Randenbury. You can see here on pitwall.live, looking to the top left under the column that says time. Roddenberry at 36, 1 minute 36.852. Aaron Walker at 1 minute 35.841. That gap already down to below 5 seconds. And really, Aaron, this is difficult now for Roddenberry. He knows he's being caught. He knows that he doesn't have the pace at the moment to keep that gap from tumbling down. But all he can do is stop looking at the relatives and just kick on.
Yeah, I think, oh, that was super close there, getting super loose there from Cameron 5 in the BMW. Is going to allow Rich Pixley up there. No, he doesn't. They both come together, come to blows. That is great control there from Cameron 5 there. Manages to keep going, but it is the field, the infield for Rich Pixley. He's been in the wars a bit, really. He's been battling away with 𝗬𝗪𝗔𝗦𝗢𝗔𝗥 and Cameron 5, and it's just it's no bueno that time.
It looks like Fife is played a very sportsmanship card there, and he's given the position back to Rich Pixley, so they're now down in 10th and 11th place. But back to my previous point, Aaron, Mark Roddenberry, really, he's just got to keep his eyes forward at the moment, hasn't he? Because he stands a chance at a podium with 25 minutes to go. Yeah. He's really got to set his best pace and keep to it.
Yeah, exactly. And if we look at it, we've got 25 minutes of racing left, and Walker's already like halved that distance that he started with. 6 seconds now down to 3 seconds. He's going to be right close together and they're going to have 20 minutes of racing to go, right? So I kind of feel like Roddenberry's got to play to his strengths. Both him and 𝗦𝗫𝗓𝗏 are great defenders, right? They might lack that pace, which might unnerve people trying to make those overtakes. And I think that Walker's going to be wary of this, but I think he's going to make it really difficult for Walker. And I kind of feel like that's going to be his strength. He's got to defend like his teammate did and allow 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗧 and ریgan Mitchell to catch to the back, and that's where the overtakes will happen. I think he can come away with a win here, realistically.
Let's see what happens then. Wiedaergle on that previous lap setting a purple final sector, fastest of anyone so far, but he's coming under fire from ریgan Mitchell on the run into the S's. Wiedaergle, though, does have the pace. He is able to match Aaron Walker. In fact, yes, he was faster than Walker on that previous lap. So the drivers in P2 and P3 at the moment have the ability to catch the leader at a rate of knots. Wiedaergle is bringing Mitchell with him. So it's Mark Roddenberry that leads the way. 2.7 seconds the Dun Motorsport Positive Perception driver has over Aaron Walker, current championship leader and our season 1 champion. And they're all in camera shot. There you go, third car in the road, the white, black and red Chevrolet Camaro. That's Kieran Wiedaergle. He's bringing the flying banana of ریgan Mitchell with him, the number 69 Maserati. And then there's a slight gap, get to take a breath for 2.3 seconds back to Stijn Paspoort in the 444 BMW. Then it's 𝗦𝗫𝗓𝗏𝗏 who's running in second for the opening few laps, managing to do his best rear gunner impression, with Marcus Hagel in 7th, Simon Wilkes, Vrieswegen, Pixley and Fife rounding out the field, but they've all seemingly been in the wars of those final 5 drivers looking to resurrect their race in the second half of this race 6 of season 16 GT4s at Simsport Racing. Kieran Wiedaergle, though, he won't want to let ریgan Mitchell through, because in doing that it's going to cost himself time, and they will lose time if they do indeed engage in a little fist fight here, because they are catching Mark Roddenberry, so we could have 4 for the lead. In fact, ریgan Mitchell on that previous lap going purple in the second sector, so that Maserati is quick through sector 2 as Wiedaergle runs wide there through the S's, 30s his tyres, and Aaron, you mentioned it before the race, it is easy to pick up the track limits warnings here.
Yeah, it's very hard to, once you committed to the corner, whether you're going to extend or not, because it's very hard to scrub off more speed, especially as you're going through, because you're effectively straight lining the S's, and if you get it wrong, there's not a lot of opportunity to slow down without causing a massive incident, because it's really only one line through there. So if he was to try and recover from a potential track limits, he could get potentially rear-ended by Rígan Mitchell. So I think he's got to be a little bit careful. He does have the pace, like you said on pitwall.live. He does have the pace. So does Rígan Mitchell. All 3 of them are running within tenths of each other, and it's I think Roddenberry is he's the gooseberry in all this. I kind of feel like he's the person that's going to make it really, really interesting, because he's the one that's not on the same pace.
And here we go. This is now the battle for the lead. 1.1 seconds faster on that previous lap. Aaron Walker has decimated the leading margin that Равенбрg held for the previous 10 laps as they climbed the hill into Coppice. Равенбрg is now under fire from our Season 1 champion and our our current points leader. As they head down Starkey Straight and towards the S's, it's only a matter of time before the number 99 makes a move on the 750. As they head through the S's, Равенбрg did a good job there. He didn't seem to lose too much time, but on the run down the hill towards the Melbourne hairpin, he opts for the middle of the road, tries to make Walker go the long way round, and he attempts it, but he does understeer off in towards the marbles there. Lucky to keep that on the grey stuff. The outside of the Melbourne hairpin is almost squared off, so there's plenty of tarmac there available should you make a mistake. Walker, the beneficiary of it for the time being, he hasn't lost any more sort of time to Mark Равенбрg as they cross the line. The gap now 0.4 of a second. Walker doing his slowest lap for the previous 5 or 6 laps, it seems, a 1:36.4. But he's got plenty of pace still in that KTM. 2 wheels off into the grass there, but doesn't make an effect through Redgate. And it looks like 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗧 is able to just extend a slight gap over Regan Mitchell now. 0.6 of a second is the gap. So he's got a little bit of breathing space to work with, but someone who certainly can't afford to take a breath is Mark Равенбрg. He's coming under fire from Walker, who looks to the outside as they run up the hill in towards McLean's. But no, he's going to maybe get the cut back though on the exit of the right-hander and darts to the inside as they rise the crest into Coppice. No, opts to just file back in line again. So, but Aaron, though, Mr. Walker is certainly making his intents clear.
Yeah, I think he just needs to relax a little bit, actually increase the distance between him and Равенбрg now, get the drive through the S's and go for the late braking opportunity into the Melbourne hairpin. I think that's going to be his overtaking opportunity right there.
Can he do it this time? It looks like no. It looks like, in fact, Равенбрg is able to just extend the gap enough. Once again, holding the middle of the road on the way into the Melbourne hairpin as on the exit, Walker gets up the inside slightly, and that will become the outside into the final left-hander at Goddard's. But no, Равенбрg holds on to the lead for now, and all this fighting is allowing the third place 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 to close up. The gap now 1.5 seconds. And it looks like it could have reduced on this previous lap. Yes, down to 1.1. So 0.4 coming in that final sector alone as 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 looks to be joining the top 2 who are battling it out. Walker potentially getting slightly flustered now, running a little bit wide again through Redgate. And on the run down the hill through the Craner curves, he's actually dropped back slightly from Равенбрg, potentially just pushing too hard. But as he flies through the old hairpin, he halves that gap and then some. He's up again under the rear wing of the number 750 Chevrolet Camaro, climbing the hill into McLean's. Looks like he seems to just catch the Camaro in the wrong place, doesn't it, Aaron? It seems like you say he needs to set up the move almost a corner or two before.
Yeah, and he's been really strong here through McLean's. That's one of his super big advantages. As he goes side by side, I don't think he's going to have track position though. I don't think he can cover off Равенбрg either. Равенбрg's going to have track position going through the S's. He tries. Oh, they collide a little bit there. That was a love tap there from Aaron Walker if I've ever seen one. Scrubbed the speed of the Camaro, and the Camaro is resounded down to 2nd place now. And 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 will have to make this move stick really, really quickly if he wants to keep with Aaron Walker.
Feel like there could be a steward's inquiry into that, because it looks like Walker did drift across the track slightly into Mark Равенбрg there. Равенбrg making it known, he's flashing the lights immediately to the back of Aaron Walker. That was a bit marginal there. It looked like that, I do feel they were side by side there, and it was a bit of a a little bit of a hip check in a place you don't really want it, but let's fight another day.
Aaron Walker knew exactly what he was doing there. There's just no pretense. I think he's letting back past there. Maybe there was a bit of a sportsman like that, because I kind of feel like he did scrub speed off that Camaro. He knows he doesn't have the speed. He knows he needs a track position, and he's kind of playing with his food at the moment.
Definitely. Well, that negates any sort of steward's investigation after giving the position back, so potentially heads up thinking there from Aaron Walker, who knows how to win this GT4 Championship, and he is on course to win his 2nd and become the first ever driver to do so. as we see from this lovely helicopter shot as they rise up over the crest into Coppice. So Roddenberry back in the lead. Different situation though for Walker now, because 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is there. He is in contact with the top two, separated by a couple of tenths. So any mistake or any incident, I'm sure 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 will have his foot in the door and be forcing it open, as the tyre bundle there on the right hander of the S's is long gone. So that was discarded a long time ago. I wonder who's got a nice black rubber mark on their front bumper from giving that a nice kick into the wilderness. As Ricard Mitchell is closing up as well though, so all this fighting is allowing the 69 Maserati back into the fray, and that's important for the championship. So Walker and Mitchell, the two drivers at the top of the order. Walker with a over 30-point advantage over Mitchell. He will be extending that tonight if Mitchell can keep tabs on him, and we all know that anything that can happen usually does in the GT4s. It keeps the championship alive into the final round next week at Laguna Seca on the 23rd of June. I think Mitchell will be wanting to potentially improve his position now, but solidify his chances potentially taking an upset in the final round. As Walker all crossed up on the exit of the old hairpin, and Aaron, that's not a spot where you want to be having a slide.
No, it looks so simple. It looks silky smooth, especially when we're on board with Aaron Walker. But these little pieces of green AstroTurf, like on the outside to the curbs, they're absolute death material. I mean, if your wheels are not straight on them, it can really spin you for a loop and get you into all sorts of trouble. As we saw, it was a great bit of counter steering from Aaron Walker to keep alive in this podium fight.
So as they run down towards the S's, that distance to the rear end of the 750 Camaro is absolutely obliterated, and Walker looking to the outside on the run over the crest and down the hill into the Melbourne hairpin. He can brake later, and he has been braking later than Roddenberry into there. He's got to make the long way round work. It doesn't really, but it will become the inside as they climb the hill into Goddard. Roddenberry on the outside, Walker on the inside into the final left-hander. Walker is going to take the position, and Roddenberry looks for the cutback, found his path to it, blocked slightly, not only by Walker, but also by the front end of 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. As we see Cameron 5 picking up a drive-through penalty, but Walker got the move done cleanly there that time, Aaron. I get the feeling that he's going to start disappearing off the road.
Well, you say that, but I think 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 with the space he's got the pace to match Aaron Walker, if not better, really. And the only thing that's stopping him right now is that Chevrolet in front of him, the 750 of Mark Roddenberry. I kind of feel like he tried to make it stick. He tried to follow through. It was nearly a carbon copy of 𝗏𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏 down at the Melbourne hairpin. He thought better of it though. Released off, let him go back through, because he doesn't want a collision at this point. It's it's so much to play for, and I feel like his time will come and he'll get the opportunity to make a move on Mark Roddenberry.
He's looking to the inside, up the hill in towards Coppice, potentially setting up a move down the Starkey straight and into the S's. And Aaron, I feel like your race here last season, you were holding a margin over Jenson Button, wasn't it? He was chasing you down, but it's difficult, isn't it, when you're out in front and you know that all you need to do is, I say all you need to do is just lap to the best of your ability. You really have to just keep your eyes forward, and unfortunately for Roddenberry, he did do a good enough job of that, but it wasn't enough pace really to keep Walker at bay.
Oh, that's really the key issue, is eyes forward. When I was here, I didn't keep my eyes forward. Every time I was going to a braking zone, I was looking at my rear view, and that really does hurt your overall lap times. And I kind of feel like Roddenberry's done a fantastic job. He's held him up for the better part of what, maybe 10 minutes. That is some solid driving there from Mark Roddenberry, and he's still in contention of a podium finish here. So I think it's kudos to Mark Roddenberry.
Our season 4 AM class champion. When the racing was split into two categories, it was Mark Roddenberry. He did take that first AM class title away with him after season 4. As he runs slightly wide though through the old hairpin, manages to get it back on track, and it almost seemed like 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 followed a very similar line, so he didn't lose too much time there. Roddenberry's best result of 4th place coming at Imola, and actually scored 4th as well at Bathurst. So 2 of his best performances, I believe, in the championship ever coming this season. So he's clearly found a home in this Camaro. and he looks to be holding off the advances of 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏 as well for the time being. This trio have scampered away. The next driver behind is Marcus Hagel, who's recovering from a fairly messy start, being involved in a couple of incidents that I don't really feel were his fault. He was just almost cannon fodder in them as they head down the hill in towards the Melbourne hairpin. Rattenbury slightly wide. That has been a weak point for him on the brakes there. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 nearly got the nose of the number 4 𝗪𝗏𝗏 up the inside. As behind, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 just waiting in the wings, Aaron. Do you feel that his best opportunity is to let the fireworks be set off in front of him? Or do you think that coming into this final 10 minutes, Mitchell's going to be making the move?
It's a dice roll. It's a toss of a coin, really, because you can see evidently how much faster 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is than Mark Rattenbury, and maybe they can come together. And the easiest thing and the nicest thing for Regan Mitchell would be these two come to blows and he gets both positions, because for him, he's the one that's closest to Aaron Walker in the championship. He needs to maintain that closeness. As to go all side by side there, it's super close, and 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is going to get through. That's fantastic there, and I hope Regan Mitchell can pass through as well. So Regan Mitchell makes the most of the opportunity as well. And he goes super wide though. That's going to allow Mark Rattenbury back around the outside, and he's going to have trap position through Coppice.
So climb up the hill. Rattenbury seeks to defend, but no, Mitchell able to get the job done on the break. So in the course of 2 or 3 corners, Rattenbury has dropped from second now down to 4th place, and his chances of a podium position are starting to dwindle as he looks to the inside into the S's.
Absolutely not.
That was not on at all, but props to Mark for showing his nose, because it looked like Mitchell had to cover it at the last second, and that Maserati is not a car you want to play with in the braking zones.
No, I mean he's been I would say relatively, in no disrespect, relatively a little bit slower through the S's, which is how they've been able to get such a drive through to the Melbourne hairpin. And suddenly, he's just found that massive pace as he could time up the inside of the S's. I don't think so. I really think he was trying to get in the mind of Regan Mitchell to lose that place, because a 3rd place would be fantastic for Mark Rattenbury. But now we will talk about strategy for Regan Mitchell. I kind of feel that Regan Mitchell is all about the pace now. These 3 are evenly matched. It's whoever makes the least mistakes.
Time trial race then for the final 9 minutes of this round 6 at Donington Park of the Simsport Racing GT4 Championship. We've got one more race to go next week, Laguna Seca, the finale event. And at the moment, Walker will have to race there in order to take a 2nd title and become the first driver to do so in this highly competitive championship. And the race tonight, all 35 minutes or so of it so far, has definitely been a look in the shop window at how competitive this championship is. Open doors, of course. If you want to get involved, then please do head over to the Simsport Racing Discord. You will find information in the description. It's also cycling through in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Be out on the grid, fighting away and fighting for position against some established names in the Simsport community and in this championship. Like we say, the new names have been making an impact this season, particularly the likes of Marcus Hagel, who's scored 4 podium finishes in a row. 3, and is on for another top 5. And we also had a first-time winner in the form of Rich Pixley, who has competed in this series for a little while now, but back at Imola, the number 11 Wild Things Racing Aston Martin took to the top step of the podium for the first time. Great to see our Season 5 AM category champion taking an overall win. So really, anyone can win in this championship, and that's what we love about it. And in the final 7.5 minutes, Pixie will be wanting to make a move on Simon Wilkes for 8th place. As we return to the front of the field, and I get the feeling, Aaron, that the only driver able to match our current race leader, well, actually saying that, 2 drivers able to match our current race leader. Those are the forms of 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Regan Mitchell. But they're not doing enough to close that gap with 7 minutes to go.
No, we're not seeing any apparent, increases or decreases of that gap to Aaron Walker, who's leading this race very, very confidently. And I think there's maybe a little bit of, we talked about track limits before, as they come down towards the S's. if you have some to play with, it improves your confidence. It boosts your confidence. In fact, if you don't have any to play with, it will mean you'll start scrubbing up, time in certain corners, especially the S's, and that'll play, a big factor in trying to catch the leader down.
It certainly becomes a mental game, doesn't it? Because with those track limits, those strikes that you can still take, those warnings you can still have from the stewards, you can just maybe take a yard here or there, but if you're on your final warning, we're not sure which drivers are on what warning. Obviously, that would be fantastic if the ACC broadcasting abilities could show that to us, but it is something you have to be wary of, isn't it? And over 45 minutes, when you're pushing so hard, it's incredibly easy to just rack up a silly penalty by tallying those track limits warnings.
No, exactly, and it's not just the S's, it's just this corner here as well as we come towards, I think, through the crenny curves towards the old hairpin. If you actually get 4 tyres over the white line just there, you've already committed. There's no way that you can save a track limits if you're track extending. There's just no way. So I feel like these British tracks here, the Donington, the 𝗬𝗓𝗏 Park, and the Snetterton, they really, if you make a mistake, you really do get punished for it. And we're not just talking track limits; we're talking tire pressures as well. Because how narrow these tracks are by nature, that you have to run the curbs, you have to run the grass, and they're taking chunks out your PSIs as well. So it's all about tire management.
Well, there's a reason the grass is so well looked after here, and it's because you don't stand a chance if you run wide and run off into it. You don't want to abuse the track limits that much. And indeed, at the British tracks here on the ACC sim, we do indeed have these fine margins, don't we? And Donington Park has a few opportunities that you can breathe maybe, and you can just run a couple of wheels onto the grass. We've seen Aaron Walker doing that plenty of times at turn 1, but next time out at Laguna Seca, Aaron, that's a track really where there's no margin for error. The sand is waiting for you.
Oh yeah, I think sand is slightly less kinder than grass in terms of speed loss. So they're going to be looking to extend over those curbs. It's just really going to be no benefit to themselves or the championship fight. So yeah, Laguna Seca, completely different story.
And Aaron Martin-Pilkington's thesis on the generosity of different racing surfaces will be available to purchase next week. As Regan Mitchell, though, he's now hurrying the back of 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏 for second place, the fastest driver on track on the previous lap, because Walker seems to be backing up into the pair of them, 1.6 seconds. Now the gap at the top. So the top 3 are coming together in this, the final 3.5 minutes of round 6. It's not all over just yet, and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is certainly doing enough to keep in the fight should something go wrong. His pace is pretty strong, down into the low 36s, and consistently setting a personal best second sector on that previous lap. So the number 750 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏 is there should things go wrong for the 3 drivers in front as they round the Melbourne hairpin for the 26th time. We should get a couple more laps here, potentially 3. It will depend on where Walker crosses the line at the end of this one. But the gap now just extended through that final sector. It looks like Walker got his head down then, realised the gap had come down. Now up to 1.9. Mitchell still 0.8 back from 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, well within range of causing a problem for the number 4 and for keeping him pushing till the very end of this one. Track temperature has risen as well, now 27 degrees, so it has climbed slightly over the course of this race, which is in server time 10 to 2 in the afternoon. So drivers will be adjusting to the changing temperatures, although only a couple of degrees, I believe, since the green flag 43 minutes ago. And as they rise up towards McLean's once again, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 looked to be slightly offline there, just as the camera shot involved the number 4 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. As they go through the right-hander at Coppice and onto the Starkey Straight. Great camera shot, just shows you how these gaps are changing. And Aaron, that's something you do as a driver, isn't it? You get onto a straight like this and you look ahead, you look behind, you see how those gaps are changing. It's all very well and good looking at the relative, but sometimes it's those physical distances that can really help you kick on.
Yeah, and you've spoken to Aaron before in an interview where he said that he'll give himself like a benchmark time, a buffer, as if it was, and if the people that are catching him, excel that, get into that time that he's comfortable with, he will push on and go. As you can see here, he kind of give him he's kind of giving these guys a 2-second buffer, or maybe a 1.5-second buffer, and now he's just gone. So now he's really pushing. So he's been able to conserve his tires to the majority, the majority of the time he's been out in the lead. And now that 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗧 is really pressing on to catch him, there's some kind of turbo boost button. He's got in that KTM and he's gone. It's absolutely gone.
So 2 seconds at the start of the final lap here at Donington Park as Simon Wilkes looks to the outside of 𝗬𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗡𝗏 on the exit of Goddard's. They are running nose to tail across the start-finish line. Down the Wheatcroft straight towards Redgate. Wilkes tries to go to the outside. Gill on the inside. The Audi will cut back, I'm sure of it, on the exit. Yes, he does. So they're side by side now on the run down the Craner curves. Wilkes does have the high ground on the inside. And through the first and second apexes, he gets the job done and climbs up to 7th place on the final lap and relegates 𝗬𝗔𝗟𝗘𝗏𝗏 down to 8th after starting on the front row. Just for good measure, the number 18 runs slightly wide on the exit of the old hairpin. So should Wilkes keep it clean for the rest of this lap, he will take that 7th place as Aaron Walker flies through the S's for what I think is going to be the final time. It will be close. We know he's good at managing the clock though, and I'm sure he'll do exactly the same here. Round the Melbourne hairpin. 𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏 looks to have held on to 2nd place just as it seemed. He ran slightly wide there into the hairpin. Mitchell almost looking for a way up the inside. But as they round the final corner, it's going to be another record for Aaron Walker. It will be a 4th victory in a single season. And as he crosses the line, the number 99 KTM from Simsport Racing takes victory, with 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 achieving a podium finish in 2nd place, his first since the opening round of the season at Zolder. Then Regan Mitchell in 3rd place rounds out the rostrum and keeps his championship hopes alive going into the final round at Laguna Seca. Mark Radbury holds on to 4th place to take his equal best finish of the season. That's the 3rd time he's finished in P4 ahead of Marcus Hagel, 𝗦𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Simon Wilkes. Then it is 𝗬𝗔𝗟𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏 in 18th ahead of Richard Pixley in 9th. Sorry, that was 𝗬𝗔𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in P8 in the number 18. Rich Pixley in 9th. Then Rhys Wiggin rounds out the top 10. Cameron Fyfe does finish the race. He's just rounding the final few corners. And if he takes the checkered flag in 11th, he will be starting on the front row for the final round at Laguna Seca. And Aaron, once again, we had a really exciting battle in these GT4s. I feel like we say that after every race, but it is the case, isn't it? And we had to see some different racing here tonight because the train of cars stayed as a train of cars for a sizable proportion of that race.
Yeah, there was definitely apparent differences in pace between the guys that was, the start at the front to the guys that were starting at the back, and that's the beauty of the full reverse, top 15 reverse grid. But I have to say though, there was such respect on the track for the most part that it really was entertaining. And then towards the end, Aaron Walker did it more of a human than a god, really, because he wasn't the only one putting in beastly lap times. And I kind of feel like Mitchell and 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 were right there with him. And you could say shoulda, woulda, coulda. You could have said if they had more time, they may have caught him. I don't really think so. Maybe, but it was fantastic to see the top 3, display their pace almost, and really pose a challenge to Aaron Walker.
And Walker took the opportunities when they presented themselves to him. And you have to do that, don't you, when the train of cars is so close? Because once the door opens, you've got to go for it, because otherwise a string of cars can come past you.
Yeah, and we saw that with 𝗬𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the BMW. We saw that with I think Simon Wilkes. You made one mistake on this track. It's very roller coaster like. So if you come off the roller coaster, it takes a lot of effort to regain that position, and you're going to lose out so much, especially as we said how close the pack was. You're going to lose out so many more positions.
So then Aaron Walker taking victory becomes that's the 3rd time a driver has taken back-to-back race wins, and we are I hear, joined by the drivers in the commentary booth. So let's grab a word with them now. So I'm joined here by our podium finishers from tonight's race, the 6th round of the 6th season of this Simsport Racing GT4 Championship. But once again, taking the top step, Aaron Walker, your 4th win of the season, Aaron. For this one, you did have to come from the back of the grid, and it was certainly a hectic start to the race.
Tim, that was crazy. Very difficult race. I'm absolutely sweating. Very difficult getting through the packs. It's a difficult track to pass on. I think I had a bit of luck here and there. I think on the first lap, me and Regan exchanged paint, and I was lucky to keep control of it. And I think maybe Regan even come off worse, so I'll have to look at the replay, but it's a good race.
We saw that in the opening few laps, you're trying to pick off the positions and make your way up the field. And then you got past a few cars as the result of a couple of comings togethers and people running through the grass, and then had to overturn a 6-second lead or so to 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏. And with this reverse grid system, we get these kind of races, don't they, where you have to time trial and you have to not make mistakes. And how did you find it once you got into clean air, the KTM's pace in comparison to the rest of the field?
I was happy with the pace. I was doing similar times. I had a bit of damage from the start, and also came together with somebody else because there was a small accident up ahead, and we all concertinaed, and I caught damage front and back. But the pace was still there. I was quite consistent after when I was in second trying to chase down Mark. I was just picking away at him really. But in practice before the race, Mark was very quick. I couldn't get by him, so I was expecting it to be quite difficult. And he didn't disappoint.
Well, that is your 10th victory in the 5 and a bit seasons so far. We're one race away from completing season 6. Eyes must be on the championship and becoming the first driver to take 2 titles in this competitive championship.
I don't want to get excited too soon, Tim, but obviously it's looking good so far. I mean, all I can do is keep finishing in front of Regan. But as I said before, when Regan finishes close to me, it doesn't feel like much of a victory when he's in that Maserati. He does such a good job. But congrats to Kieran and Regan.
Well, thank you very much, Taron, and congratulations on your result tonight.
Thank you.
We'll go over to Kieran Vidago, who was the most recent driver to take back-to-back victories in Season 3 at Silverstone and Brands Hatch. Unfortunately, Kieran, that record has now gone. It's Aaron Walker who has taken 2 back-to-back here at Suzuka in Donington Park, but back on the podium for the first time since the opening round at Zolder. But you did have to fight for it.
Yeah, it was a good race. Some really quick guys on the track. It was impossible to overtake, so it was all just about keeping pressure on and trying to make the other person make a mistake. It's a great race.
You seem to be pushing this Camaro to the limits and sometimes beyond. How have you found driving this car? Because it doesn't seem to have any particular strengths, but it seems to have potentially a lot of weaknesses to drive around.
You could say that way. Yeah, it's not the best in a straight line. Seems like some tracks the KTM's quicker in a straight line somehow. But it's all right. You have to spend a bit of time setting it up, make sure you can get the car turned in on entry, and make sure you're not dancing around on the rear on the exits. I'm sure Regan's got a harder time if there's no traction control, but yeah, it's pretty good. I'm enjoying it.
And the final race at Laguna Seca in a week's time, how do you think the Camaro will go there? And we have had a couple of wet races at Laguna Seca. Do you reckon that will level the playing field for the Camaro?
I have no idea. Might be good, might be bad. We'll have to wait and see. I haven't really tried it yet, so it could be good.
Brilliant. Certain as ever, Kieran. Thank you very much. Congratulations on your result this evening.
Cheers, Tim.
And we'll go over to our 3rd place finisher, Regan Mitchell, back on the podium again. It seems that you've been incredibly consistent in a car that a lot of people would argue is the hardest to be consistent in. That's now your 5th podium in a row. And you're still within a shot of the championship. How was your race tonight?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty good overall. I just wanted to keep Aaron behind me for the championship, obviously, but I lost out at the start, lap 1 things, and every time I got past someone and had him in my sights, he would just get past another person, always just running away and then some. So yeah, not quite possible. And it was a good battle with Kieran at the end. Unfortunately, when you have to battle with the Maserati, you're going to wreck the tyres just with how it works. So I just didn't have the consistency left to stay behind him properly throughout the lap.
And across the course of this season, like we say, this is your 5th podium in a row, but you allude to it there that the Maserati doesn't have any traction control, no ABS. Do you find yourself driving conservatively to get to the checkered flag, or are you pushing hard? Because like you say, taking life out of the tyres in just battling Kieran in the final 10 minutes.
No, I need to drive it as hard as it'll go just to get the lap time out of it. Otherwise, yeah, I can look after the tyres a bit better, but you just lose more time in a 45-minute race by going careful rather than wearing the tyres out. If it was 60 minutes or longer, then maybe I'd wind it back, but not in these.
Well, the final round at Laguna Seca, like we say, you do still have a chance of taking the championship. What's your goal for the race? Is it just be in front of Walker, or is it run your own race and see what happens?
Yeah, just do the best I can and then see basically if he retires or not, because that's basically my only chance right now.
Regan going around 5 minutes before the race to disconnect Aaron Walker's internet then. Congratulations, Regan, on a 3rd place finish tonight here at Donington Park. Look forward to seeing you next time out at Laguna Seca.
Thank you.
And thank you to all 3 of the drivers for joining us here in the interview room.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks.
Cheers, Tim.
So, Aaron, heard from the drivers there. It was a tough race. I mean, Aaron Walker, admitting that he's hot and sweaty, he did have to push to take the victory tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't plain sailing as we've seen in previous rounds. So it was really nice. It was really refreshing to see that, you know, that Kieran 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Regan Mitchell were there with him on pace, I would say. He did say in his interview that it was really interesting that I should have picked up on, that he did have a bit of damage. And I kind of feel like when the KTM gets damaged, it's really amplified just because of how small it is. And you kind of get this sense of fragility with it. You know, it feels like you're riding around in some china. If anything goes wrong, like it amplifies onto how the car performs for the rest of the race. So that was fantastic from him.
So another exciting round here at Simsport Racing GT4 Championship. Thank you to everyone for watching along in the YouTube channel. It seems like there was the chat was kicking off throughout the entirety of that race. Plenty of you enjoying the stream. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. It doesn't go unnoticed, and the community here at Simsport Racing is growing rapidly, and we wouldn't want you to miss out. And speaking of missing out, Angus Martin saying he's missed out on this race. Well, join us in a week's time, Angus, and everyone else, for the final round of the season. We go to Laguna Seca to settle the championship fight between Aaron Walker and Regan Mitchell. Let's join us same time, same place next week, the 23rd of June, the final round of this GT4 Championship Season 6 at Simsport Racing. I've been Tim Fullbrook, joined once again by the delightful Aaron Martin-Pilkington, and until next time, thank you very much for watching, and good night.